Hey everybody, this is Joe. I am making these videos for my kids so they'll know how to do certain tasks on their car, easy stuff, right? So I'm starting this video set so the kids can know what needs to be done because they don't always have time to come out here and help me. So this is going to be simple, changing a tire. All right. So the first thing you want to do, let's say your tire's flat, you're on the side of the road, whatever, right? The first thing you want to do is open your trunk. All your stuff for changing the tire and whatnot should be in here. So what'll happen is you'll have the bottom, what looks like the bottom of the trunk or whatever. Okay, so up underneath the panel, whatever panel is installed, is generally where the spare tire sits. This is a donut. Donuts are temporary tires that you can use to get where you're going, right? If you have a flat on the side of the road and you need to get home or you need to get it to a tire shop, this is a donut. You're not supposed to drive more than like 35 or 55 miles per hour on these. Usually it says on the tire a max speed. This one says max speed 50 mph. So you're not supposed to go over 50 miles per hour on this tire. Anyway, this is a donut. And this is a purely instructional video, so I'm just gonna take the tire off and put it back on, but it's how you would do it. You would get this out, your jack and your tire iron will be right in here somewhere. And you'll need those to take it off. So the jack and the tire iron I've already pulled out. They're right here. This is gonna be your jack, your tire iron, and this is what you will use to start taking this wheel off so that you can put the spare on or the donut on, whatever, to get you where you're going. Sometimes your tires have tire caps on them. That's these little covers that cover your lugs. So if you look down here and you're like, these lugs look weird. Lugs should be big and sturdy, not little tiny plastic screw looking things. So usually you'll take your tire iron that you pulled out of your trunk and you'll slide it in a little notch. If there's no notch, make a notch and you'll just pop this off, right? That just comes off. And then you see your lugs are under there. That's what you're going to use to remove your tire. So the first thing you want to do is you want to loosen the lugs while the tire is still on the ground, whether it's flat, whether it's not, whatever reason you're changing the tire. While the tire is still touching the ground, before you've jacked it up, make sure you loosen these lug nuts. So I'm going to loosen them. If you're not strong enough to loosen them by hand, or somebody put them on real tight, right, and you don't have the strength to loosen them, you can always get up here, right? Position this. You don't want to go too hard because you won't want to break your nut off, but you can always put your foot on it and stand on it, and that gives you a little extra pressure there for those that may not be strong enough to undo them themselves. So they've all been loosened. You saw me loosen all 4 of them, all right? Doesn't matter what order you loosen them in. Next, we're going to do the jack. So with these kind of jacks, basically it's I don't even know what kind of jack it's called, but it's the ones that come with all the cars. And a lot of them have a slot in the middle here, right? And that slot is you're supposed to, up under the car here, and see if you can get a good view of it. You can tell this has been jacked up a few times right here because it takes the whole weight of the car on it. But there's this little sliver. It's like it's what goes in the middle of the jack, right? So this one's obviously been jacked up here a few times, so I'm gonna go a little further back and use the one that's not all messed up. I'm gonna put it under there. That slot right there, see if you can see it. That slot should fall right in that gap on the jack right there. So we're gonna start jacking it up. At first, before it's got any weight on it, you can always just swivel this thing around to the right, righty-tighty, right? It's also righty-raisy, however you want to call it. But you start turning it to the right, and it'll start going up. However you do it, this is the way it's supposed to be done, right? But I don't have any weight on this thing yet, so you get it up to where it's gonna meet with the car. I like to just turn it. Alright. And then when it's almost about to touch that rim, you want to slot it in so that it catches. So position it to where the slot is right there. It's about to catch that slot. I'm going to raise it a little more because I want that to be in the slot. Right? In the slot. And it's in the slot. There we go. It's seated. And now you're just going to raise it up, right? And for raising it, I mean, it gets pretty heavy. You're lifting a whole car, but the way this jack works is you take it to the left, make it clockwise, take it all the way to the left again, make it clockwise, and little by little like that, you will raise this car off the ground. And you'll know it's high enough when you can see light underneath the tire, between the tire and the ground. You'll know it's off the ground. So we're gonna raise this guy up. Your arm will get tired doing this after a while, trust me. You'll start to see the tire move a little bit as it comes off the ground. All right, we've jacked it up. If I look at the tire now, I can see some light under the tire, right? And I know it's off the ground, right? This tire is now off the ground. It's not touching anymore. So we can continue with the tire change. So now that we have the tire up and we've already loosened these 4 lug nuts, sometimes you might have 5 lug nuts or 6 lug nuts, whatever. Doesn't matter, just make sure they're all loose before you raise the car up with the jack. So now that they're up, right, and they're loose, you want to turn them a little bit until you can untwist them with your hand. Once you can untwist them with your hand, just untwist them, pull them off, there's your lug nut, and set them someplace you ain't going to lose them. That last one will always have a little pressure behind it because all the weight of the tire is now on that one lug. So you might have to turn it a few extra times to get it loose. Once it's loose, if you push the tire back a little bit, take some of the pressure off that last nut, you can undo it with your hand. All right, nothing's off. So now this whole wheel will come off. Just like that. It's flat, whatever. You throw it in your trunk, whatever, and then go get your tire out of your trunk, your spare or your donut, whatever you are, and you can throw that on here and you cruise on about your way to the tire shop or the house or wherever you're going. So we got the tire off, great. We're gonna roll the new tire on. New tire, spare tire, donut, whatever you got. Gonna roll it over here, and we're gonna make sure that we line up the bolts here, these bolts, with the holes on the tire. It's got 4 bolts, 4 holes, right? Sometimes if your tire's flat and you get it high enough to take the tire off, because it's flat, you may not have raised the car high enough to put the new tire on because there's all this resistance down here at the bottom. So if that's the case, if you get up here and the holes just won't line up, no matter what you do, take that jack a little higher, take it another turn, couple turns up until all these can line up and you can put the tire back on the holes just like this. So those are the 4 bolts going through the holes right there. And then you want to put your lugs back on. You can hand tighten them until they won't hand tighten anymore. Get down here. Hand tighten like this. You can always get a little more play if you push the you can get a little further if you push the tire back on the rotor there. Just pushing it back opens up more thread for you to for you to screw these on. So that's it. Tight here. So more. There's usually one that wants to be a booger always, but all right, they're hand tight. So before you take the tire down, you want to get them tight with this, but not, you know, all the way. You're going to tighten them again after you get the tire on the ground, just to make sure everything is tight and where you want it. But while it's up in the air, you can go ahead and take this and do your thing. You always want to go cross though, that's important, all right? If you pick any one to start with, it doesn't matter. But once you do, tighten that one or whatever, go across, up and across, okay? That way the whole tire tightens down evenly, okay? So we're gonna go here and get that as tight as it's gonna go by hand. Then we're gonna do this one. Then we're gonna go up here. Get this one as tight as we can get it. Then we're gonna go across from that and get this one as tight as we can get it. All right, so now they're tight as we can do them by hand with it up. So we're gonna take the jack back down. We're gonna take this jack back down. Now it's righty-tighty to lift it up. It's lefty-loosey to take it down, right? Down's always a lot easier than up because you're not lifting the weight of the car. And you want to clear that lip up there before you slide it out, right? And then once you slide it out, you can just take it and twist it till it's all the way flat again, so you can put it back in your trunk. All right. So that's that. Now we're going to tighten our bolts a little tighter, and this is our final tightening, right? Give it a good old push. Try not to, you know, break it. Don't put so much in it you're snapping it, but you don't want your tire to come off or your bolts to be loose. So give it another couple turns there. Started this one, I went across, now I'm up. Like I said, it doesn't matter which one you start with, as long as whatever one you start with, you go across, up, and across, right? With 5 or 6, it's the same concept. And if you have a cover, like one of these, go ahead and put that on there. It's gonna cover, okay, so this one has divots, right? These little 4 divots, 5 divots. Line them up with the divots in your wheel, okay? Don't try to force it on or you'll break it. And then you just give it a little push. Oh, well, dang. I'll give it a little foot, how about that? There you go. Now she's on there.